Hi, Hakan.
Hi, Elizabeth. We are here again.
We're back seeking wisdom, one question at a time.
One question at a time in societal, sudden organizational isolation. And today we are focusing on a very important and yet somehow overlooked element in this environment, which is education of our children. Is that right?
Our big question today is, what about the kids? So we have over 39 million people in California. We have over 6 million kids. Our population is being impacted in a way that really threatens their well-being and their basic literacy. So
their education, which is going to shape our future and society.
Absolutely. For that reason, will you introduce our guest?
Yes, this is a very exciting day for me, also personally, because our son, who's a sixth grader who graduated from elementary school, is a student of our guest, Miss Marla Cook, from Davis Village Elementary School. And Marla Cook has graduated from Berkeley with a degree in criminology. And after that, she has decided to be a sixth grade teacher, very particularly. And she's been a sixth grade teacher for 31 years. And not only that, she's also teaching a special program in the curriculum, alternative instructional model, or formerly known as GATE program for gifted children. And so she's been doing a phenomenal job for decades educating the kids of Davis.
And Marla, you also have a degree in child development as well as your teaching credential, that you went back to school and got those things after raising 2 kids of your own. And those 2 children went on to become educators. So I think you have some magical educator dust.
So Ms. Cook, what was the biggest challenge for you once we got into the social isolation period and teaching our students?
Well, the first challenge was how to do it when you're not in the same rooms. In my way of teaching, every subject that I teach is based on having conversations in the classroom. I ask questions where students need to think them out and respond to them, and other people respond to their answers. I respond. And so that seemed to be gone from the classroom. When you do homeschooling or group schooling like that at home, and you go onto a Zoom or a WebEx or whatever platform you're using, you try to have everybody on at the same time, but you can't have your microphones on at the same time because all you get is feedback and you can't hear anyone speak. So all of a sudden you have a bunch of kids listening as I talk to them, which is not the way that I think education should go. I don't like teaching at my kids. I like it being included. Then the kids started getting really concerned and sending me emails personally because they couldn't see their friends, and they started very, very quickly kind of falling apart.
So this brings us to a major question that we are all facing today as a society, which is if this continues in the fall, we are starting a new academic year where students in K-12 might start their education fully online, the first day of school at Zoom or any kind of modality, virtual modality, which brings in a lot of questions and challenges that we need to think about, because we know that for decades, Zunin and Zunin, the social psychologists, have established that decades ago, that the first impressions are so important. People form their first impressions about each other in about the first 4 minutes. So when a child goes to school, their first day, what they see in the classroom, their teacher, their friends, their desk, the blackboard, the playground, wherever sets the tone for the child psychologically for the school. So how are we going to overcome this lack of nonverbal cues and first impression rich environment in this new period?
Well, there's several things to respond here. I'm on a committee in our school district We have 7 committees getting ready for the fall. And the committee I'm on is the one that's trying to figure out the configuration of the fall. And that's the first problem. At the moment, no one knows what the configuration is. It may be that we have outbreaks of the coronavirus and everyone is ordered to stay home. Or maybe it's the peak is gone and we're recovering and we can all go to school. I don't know of any elementary teachers and many middle school teachers as well who don't agree that they want to be able to see students face to face somehow. Well, I think we're going to have to plan for all of the above and be ready for all of them. So how do you keep that close contact when it's all distance learning? I've been toying with the idea of dividing my class up, dividing them by 5 because they're 5 days of the week, and putting them in groups of 6 kids where I would meet with each of the 6 kids at least one day a week, where we would meet for 30 minutes and it would just be us on a screen. But then all the mics can be on and we could actually have interactions and conversations as if we were in a classroom.
So the structure of online platforms naturally is about talking and listening, which, by the way, might have improved our listening skills to a great extent in this period. Kind of a nice, unexpected.
That's true.
At the same time, though, especially for K-12 education, is also the kinesthetics, the movement, the pauses, or chatting with your friend, or doing some activity with your friend without exchanging a word. So maybe we should liberate our use of online platforms. So we need to find ways to expand this online platform where we can include more movements, more interaction, and more creativity.
What do you need, Marla, in terms of support from above? What do you feel you need?
Well, parents, administrators, whoever, that they recognize that that's how all of us grow as teachers and as learners. I consider myself the first number 1 learner in our classroom. I learn every day. It's just to be able to support you trying new things.
And I think that ties to one of our earlier episodes about crisis management. We have to find ways to think outside of the paradigm to find solutions to a problem that came out of nowhere. So we have to be creative. I think everybody has to be creative. And also maybe even learning about virtual learning, like teaching our kids and then making them explore what online learning is and what are the do's and don'ts of online learning. Not only learning, but online meetings, online interactions, because it looks like this is going to become a part of practice, or not only at school, but also at work. So maybe this might become a part of the curriculum. What do you think?
So along these lines, Stanford University did a study with electrodes, or they've been working on that for the last 10 years of how kids learn. And they have found that the brain is most active and it's making connections with dendrites and the like when students are struggling, when they don't understand things, when they are having trouble with the learning. So with that in mind, I would love all those people I answer to in the administration to allow me the opportunity to try new things, to experiment in new ways, to capture kids if we have to be home on a full-time basis, so I can try new ways of having them learn and be successful.
That's so meaningful to me. I have to say, as you both know, theater is a great passion of mine, and the entire rehearsal process is all about making mistakes. It's supposed to be about making mistakes. We just don't get anywhere in any creative venture, and I think that is something that people expect from the arts and in the arts, but to apply it across the board in all learning and thinking, I think it's just a marvelous idea to put out there. Yes, Hakan?
I fully agree. And I think this also requires, on the teacher's side, a more flexible, relaxed, and creative mindset when they walk into the classroom in the fall. If the teachers are always afraid of not getting by, making mistakes, or being under spotlight, or not being able to succeed, they might get uptight. And I think the last thing we want to do in this period as teachers is just to get uptight. Getting uptight in front of camera is not a good thing, right? In these lines, it's also important to realize that in order for someone to be creative, you need a psychological safe environment, psychological safety. And that comes with organizational support. So the more structure you create around that creativity zone, the more creative people can get. So how are we going to create that is a big question. One last question that's also very important for me, because I'm also a father of a first grader for next year. Kindergarten children and first graders who don't even know how to sit in the classroom. How are we going to orient those children in this period so that they can smoothly continue their education when we go back to normal?
Marla, you suggested that we could be headed for a true literacy crisis.
Yeah, I think this is something that we haven't really come to grips with yet. So I'm very concerned if the kids are not in school full time. It's so important. And if it isn't, if anything goes wrong during this time, it's just going to magnify itself through as kids get older.
And that brings in the literacy crisis, because if there's a gap in the first or second grades, that would carry on if it's not fixed as quickly as possible. So even if you cannot avoid the gap right now, maybe the curriculum should be designed in a way that is fixed the year after. And maybe in the meantime, we can also, create systems where directly teach children what it's going to feel like when you are back to classroom, how you should sit, how you should listen to your teacher, kind of meta learning experience for the kids, something that they look forward to. We are not there yet, but here's what you will do when you go to classroom. And here are certain things that, great students do. So just teaching them directly maybe might be a remedy.
Well, and that's something that's very important. And you mentioned that we talked the other day about how important it was to have systems in place that kids know about lining up and about sharing, or all those things that you have to learn.
What do you think would be some wise leadership at this time?
I think it's really important to really identify the principles of education, because education is about children, not teachers, not administrators.
Sure.
If students don't learn, and if they don't want to learn, we cannot teach. We can act as if we are teaching, we can cover the curriculum, but how much they learn is up to them. And in this socially isolating environment, they can take many different routes. We have schools so that our students can succeed in life. Our goal is not to have our students succeed at school. Our goal is to have our students succeed in life. And this is what the schools are for.
I think that we're coming to a close on our time together.
And I think we should have another guest, maybe who would provide us insights about school leadership. We are grateful to you for being such a great teacher. And also we are grateful that you have joined our episode today to talk about a topic that to me has the utmost importance.
Thank
you so much for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.